For Orlando Pirates, having scored now in their last 9 games in a row and moving up to second position on the Betway Premiership table. Mamelodi Sundowns are managing to get a goal there against TS Galaxy, and they have extended the gap at the top of the table, maintaining their lead in the Betway Premiership table. Durban City, they managed to snatch it against Marumo Gallants, and for Stellenbosch, it is not getting any better as a victory there for Swelele and the Tlololo Siema men. So this is what the table looks like. Coach Shorty, fascinating viewing, and things have changed over the last 90 minutes.
You play a match, you win your games, you score, it's good. It keeps you in the top 8, and that's what we are seeing, the competitiveness of the games up there. And like we've always said to Pirates, games in hand are not points in the bag, and they just play one game at a time, and they are making efforts and getting maximum results.
Jimmy, I want to change. Durban City have moved into the top 8.
Yeah, no, a great result. I mean, you can see what 3 points does, you know. And I'm happy that they were able to bounce back from the Chiefs loss on Friday. So, yeah, I think it's progress for Durban City.
For Stellies, you look at that, not scored in 8 of 12 games, Jimmy. 8 of the 12 games they played this season, Stellenbosch FC have not scored a goal. Tonight was no different as Swelele beat them 2-0.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a team that's been a bit inconsistent and a bit blunt also in front of goal, and at the same time they've been conceding quite easily. So I think it's a case of having to rectify from your building blocks, sort out your defense, because I think in front they're also struggling, like I said. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the team.
So if we look at tonight's action, 4 matches taking place in the Betway Premiership, what was the performance of the evening, the match or the result for you that really stood out?
I mean, you look at Siwelele as well. They're a team that stood out for me because we started with saying that will they be able to get the better of Stellenbosch, looking at how Coach Siema also has been pushing his team, and they do exactly that. Botane scores and Makitikiti also comes in and scores. It's the continuity for me. You will take it back to probably 3-4 matches back when he said, we are not going to lose this match that's coming up again. That was Coach CM. And the following one, he said, we either draw or win this match, and he drew. From then, it has been incredible for them.
They have found a bit of consistency. Jimmy, for you, the game that stood out?
I think when you look at the TX Galaxy and Sundowns game, for the better part of the first half, Sundowns was under siege. Galaxy creating so many chances. But you know, with quality, just a little bit, you could see what Sundowns did there, getting 1 goal, getting 3 points, and they keep it moving.
I'm going to put the survey out to our viewers at home now. The game that stood out for you tonight, hashtag SSDiski. I've got Shorty telling me that it's Swelele's victory, and that was the game for her that really stood out. And then I've got Jimmy telling me that it was Mamelodi Sundowns doing what they normally do at home and getting the victory there against TS Galaxy. Do you have a different view? Tell us. We're going to a quick break. We'll be back after this. Celebrations. That's what's been taking place at the Kings Willetini Stadium. The Orlando Pirates are faithful, not moving, staying to enjoy the fact that Pirates have scored 3 goals away from home and have moved up the Betway Premiership table to second position on that table, still with 2 games in hand. And it is looking like a fascinating chase towards this season's Betway Premiership title chase, but it is still very, very early days. Let's now take you to the action that took place there. And the early days of this encounter, it was just 22 minutes in when Jimmy, Pirates put together this movement.
Yeah, but also just, group tactics. In this case, Ndaba and Moremi combining on the left-hand side. But there's a touch taken by Moremi. As he does it half-turn in around, it creates so much space for him, and he's able to scan around. Who's that one through for Ndaba? Namtajera there in the mix. Unfortunately, Aro struggled to clear their lines there.
When this ball eventually from the man who walked away with the man of the match as well, Nkosiko Ndaba, the 23-year-old signed at the beginning of the season from Richards Bay. He had a terrific game today.
He had a terrific game, and I like what he says, to Fiso when he says, Coach always tells me, when Hoto is not playing, you are playing, replicate his efforts and do more as you are a youngster that knows how to play. And you can see he's only 23 years old. This is his third match, and he was top performing player from minute one. He was there for the overloads. He was there for the overlaps, even underlapping at times. And he did well also when it came to defending as a principle, first principle for him as a player. So that shows you he's a player that understands who he is on the field.
This game looked like it was going to be interesting. Arrows always looked like they had a goal in them, and they found it here, as we see Pilani Kumalo, the sub. And you guys both were telling me here, you felt Siema should have done better as he goes flying off the field there.
He should have done much better, but I want to pick up from the ball circulation from Golden Arrows. That's always been their strength. So if you allow them time on the ball and space, they're able to pick each other up. But coming back to Siema, look, I understand what he wanted to do.
Pick up from shield.
He wanted to shield the ball, but in my view, I felt the ball was too far off from the line to be able to shield it for such a extended period. So rather clear your lines, be safe, instead of wanting to risk, and that was the end result.
Coach Bonilo, spina njengetopo lapha ukuthi ashaya igoli.
Uspina njengetopo ukuthi ashaya igoli laphayana, and that's the technicalities of it, where we are able to say, when you get a chance to be able to be in the box, composure. And ngale uspina njengetopo ukuthi ashaya igoli, uTito naye la uspina njengotito, i-ambulance yasethembisa wathi thini, and Buchuma comes in there as a striker. Look at him where he starts. He peels off away, and then he realizes now it's time for me to, reposition myself, because as a striker you must be able to do that. Read the game and see, am I offside, am I onside? How can I change my angle so that I know where the goals are and I can hit it there? I love that he didn't take an extra touch. We need to commend Utalente Mbata. He comes on from the bench. Tito comes from the bench. Mutuma also comes from the bench. When he was carrying the ball, I was like, so he's versatile. Value coming from the bench.
A victory made by the coach, Shalak will say, when you look at the fact that 3 substitutes involved in the goal that gave Orlando Pirates the advantage there. And then the man who came in as a sub, Yanele Mbutuma, finding the perfect couple of touches here from an outrageous pass from Rida Mufokeng, who's back in Pirates colours.
Yeah, well, the first touch. Can't get finesse. Well, pass pass. But also the first touch from Butuma. Yeah, obviously he slips a bit, but he's able to recover quickly. But look at that pass, the weight, just the presence of mind. He's got such a brilliant football IQ. That is Mofuki. He comes off the bench. You wouldn't say that he hasn't played in a while because he's been injured. But you can see again a pool in terms of the depth. Just the selection from what the coach has got. I think he's got one of the biggest headaches in the league.
And you wouldn't want more as a coach than if you do make, and maybe let's not even call them subs, impact players come on and they make an impact.
Oftentimes we speak about players that are able to win you a match from the bench because they need to change your formation, change your intensity, and improve the match as much as they can. If you are a goal down or draw, you want to win, they need to amplify that and make it better for you and easier. And that's why we look at these stats, because if you think about it, in the first half it was 2-2 shots on target for both teams, and Arrows only got 1 extra and Pirates improved by 4. That shows you they're a team that wants to go further. Though corners for Pirates, they only got that 1 corner in the first half, which shows you now they were keeping possession, they were not losing it. They realized they can't get behind the defense of Arrows, so they were keeping possession and trying to open stretch Arrows as much as they can, because they can't really withstand the pressure of Glala without the ball.
Just saw a tweet coming up there saying that Mofokeng is a genius, and I'm sure Jimmy Dow is agreeing with that when he talks about finesse from the young man. But now let's talk about how it was that Mamelodi Sundowns took all 3 of the points at home against TS Galaxy. And when we look at the first half here, Jimmy, it was a disallowed goal. Sundowns thought they got one in the first half, The referee blows the whistle pretty much as soon as Mudau does go down. There's the whistle as the ball hits the net. Hey! Hey!
Yeah, look, I think I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the official. He was clear in his decision in giving that as a foul. However, I'm of the view that he should have allowed play until the end result, and then only then make a determination. But I mean, you look at the move, it ends up in a goal, but unfortunately it's ruled out.
Then there were a lot of opportunities that did come as that one goes over the bar. Then we continue to see how it was that TS Galaxy then found some opportunities. Ditejana here is a man who felt that he probably would have scored had this opportunity come to him. But Kolisa Mudau, he does brilliantly to get back.
This is why everybody was worried to say, will he be ready on time to be back for Bafana Bafana and for Mamelodi Sundowns, because he plays a pivotal role. His speed, he's good at 1v1s, reading the game, and that's what he gives them as a Mamelodi Sundowns team.
That's one that TS Galaxy would have thought, if it wasn't for Mudau, we would have scored. Here's the second opportunity, as first of all the save, and then the save again. Junior Zidonga with the final attempt. Ronwen Williams kept busy. TS Galaxy asked questions in that first half.
And this is what we were referring to when we spoke about the earlier moments where TS Galaxy had chances. But obviously in this instance, Ronwen does superbly well to keep the team in the game. But you look at the chances that Galaxy had. They had an opportunity to win the game. But, one is to give credit to Ronwen. He really stood the ground and made it difficult for Galaxy.
Ronwen keeping Ditejana out there. Then the goal does eventually come. And it's the sub, Artur Sales.
It's not often where Mamelodi Sundowns comes in the second half to score and lose a match, because they really know how to win matches. They have the pedigree, they have the template to do it. In the first half, they didn't create as many chances, and this is where you see them being clinical. Reyners, with that speed, he dashes off, and Sales doesn't follow him exactly where he goes, but he stays at an angle so that he's able to take a shot at goal. If you look at these stats, TS Galaxy in the second half, they don't have a shot on target whatsoever, because that's how much Sundowns came back into the game and to minimize the mistakes that they were making.
Nonetheless, though, with just 28% possession, they had 5 shots on target, and that was pretty close to what Mamelodi Sundowns were able to do. But at the end of the day, it was the defending champions who won that one with that one solitary goal. Artur Sales, the scorer of that one. Let's move on. Stellenbosch were beaten 2-0 today at home, and this was at the Athlone Stadium, where Swelele, Letono Siema's men came, and they had nothing for what Magirigiri had here. First beats his man, then gives the perfect ball inside. Potsani scores.
Yeah, I think just defensively a big blunder there. He got exposed to the ball, got tempted, then he went in for a dive. And the last thing you want to do is to give the opponent the advantage, because once you
foul him, just foul. Yeah, take him out.
He tried to.
You didn't do anything. One must pass, follow man, not V2. And there it was. That's what put Stellies under real pressure. Then, in that second half early on, this is how the second of those goals came. Again, the same combination. This time, though, the assistant is Potsani and the finisher is Magirigiri.
This shows us why this team has been the third best performing team in the last 5 matches, because they got 10 points out of 15. And that combination is really going to profit them a lot in the rest of the season, just as long as they stay fit, out of injuries as well, and coach keeps consistency with the lineups.
Would you believe it? Undefeated in their last 4 games are Swelele, and they've also not had a goal scored against them in their last 4 games. Clean sheets. Yakia Swelele, slowly. Hey. No one's watching as we look at Durban City and the goal they scored. Oh, things have changed. Durban City, Gallants, Hashim Domingo, his first goal of the season. He'd had a couple of assists, but now he gets a critical goal as Gavin Hunt's side. They kept it a little bit late, but for Muruba Gallants, nothing to show.
Look, I think Domingo always scores midfielders' goals. He comes in late in the box, But even when he comes in, he takes control, he takes charge of it. I mean, look at the first touch. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He didn't look for power, but more for precision. And it just there's so much to learn from such players. You know, just being calm in around the box and using the right technique for your application.
Marumo Gallants will be in action on the weekend against Golden Arrows in the Carling Knockout. Richards Bay will be playing against Orlando Pirates in the Carling Knockout semi-finals. That's the action on the weekend that everybody's talking about. However, Club Brugge and